By the way, a quick note for those of you that have been using the solution, you've probably noticed that we have a new news feed now. So on the login page, when you log in, we have a news feed that pretty much gives you links to anything that we think you might find interesting. In this case, new features. So, example, we have a new Pareto chart. You click on the link, and it takes you directly to the training showroom, which most users know about already, how it works. So you can see we announced the launch of our new Pareto chart. There's usually videos and step-by-steps how to access it. So that's on the news feed. Don't be scared if you hadn't seen it yet. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. Okay. So anyway, here we are on my dashboard. Let's talk about the company that I'm working in. So this is our company. So quickly, I'm going to click on the org chart, and you can see here's how we're set up. We got our strategy and change management. Actually, I'm going to zoom in a bit. Finance and legal, business development, operations, and product and IT. Now you can see here's me and wearing my customer success hat, and then here's me working in marketing. So I think what we'll do now is go take a look at marketing for a second. And what the KPIs we're about to look at are mostly covering this team you see here, just so you know. So this is our company. Hold on, I see a couple more people coming in. Okay. And that's how many headcount. Now, by the way, these are not all staff, but these are also service providers we're working with and contractors and stuff like that. These are our business processes. And for those of you already using the system, you know how this column just continues to collect, continues to go. You're always capturing your business processes. And when you're capturing KPIs, this becomes very useful to start linking KPIs to processes. One thing that I strongly caution, because we've been using this for many years now, when you're cataloging processes, try to keep them as clean and as updated as possible. So if the ideal situation is each team leader is responsible for their processes, but that'll be for another day. We do have webinars already on our website that are about process optimization, process catalog, standard work management. So feel free to see those. We definitely will be having more of those in 2025. So before we actually look at the KPIs, let's talk about where the KPIs come from. So as a strategy deployment solution, here's our Hoshinkanri X Matrix workbench, we call it. So you got your long-term goals for this year, your strategic initiatives, and then you've got your balanced scorecard, which allows you to then map KPIs to each of these X Matrix coordinates. So our X Matrix comes directly from here. And what you get here is you get the X Matrix that's been assigned to you. So in other words, you could have an X Matrix that's 2 or 3 levels deep from the CEO. So anyway, you can see this is the strategic direction of our company. Here's our breakthrough objectives. Here's our strategic initiatives. And here's our balanced scorecard. So the KPIs we're going to be looking at today. Now, if you use the X Matrix logic, and here's where you can actually see what it looks like in the X Matrix format. Next month, there'll be an export feature to export this to PDF. So what you can do now, if you want to, let's start the KPIs we're going to look at today. You start, there's my strategic direction. You can see this long-term goal here, grow market share by 300%. It's linked to these breakthrough initiatives here. So we want to increase number of clients and annual revenue by 55%, increase number of products, increase number of partnerships, reduce risk incidents and near-miss incidents, increase customer satisfaction. Now, if I say, let's talk about how we want to increase clients, I'm going to now select this one, and you can see the darker shade of blue. These are our strategic initiatives that are going to help us get there. And not to overload you with information on this, but I want you to understand this because as you can see here, these numbers here, these are the KPIs that are supporting all these initiatives. So if I want to know how are we going to automate our PLG focused online subscription model, these are the KPIs that are being tracked across the company. And now here's the actual KPIs listed. These are our customer KPIs. And you can see now the pictures of the team leaders that own these KPIs. Here's 21 process KPIs, filter them. And here's 20 people and growth KPIs. So immediately you can see what's going to help us hit these long-term goals. And again, there's our X matrix for those of you that use the X matrix for communication. So keeping that in mind, these are the KPIs we're going to start looking at on our dashboard. So today we're going to really talk about those bullet charts. We're going to talk about capturing information and presenting them. So one thing I really wanted to point out, so the bullet charts are, these have just been launched last month, and we're still getting our head around the best way to use them. We have multiple clients trying them out with us together. But best thing for us, bullet charts are lead KPI management, because to start, we're in a good position to use a bullet chart to have a discussion with somebody that's trying to push himself to achieve a certain result, and the bullet charts are a great way to drive and frame that conversation. So today we're going to focus on my lead KPIs that I'm tracking, and it's good for those of you that aren't familiar with Presto. Presto is a great opportunity to help teach your company the difference between lead KPIs and lag KPIs. And you can do a lot of different filters that allow people to understand the difference. Quick intro for those of you that might not really understand the difference. I just put a couple examples. Lead KPIs are the cause of your success. The lag KPIs are what happens, the effect of your actions. So for example, the number of marketing campaigns you launch on social media, the more you launch, the more number of social media followers you have. Number of safety audits performed on your manufacturing shop floor, the less amount of work accidents you're going to have. Number of sales-related training classes, more sales revenue you should be gaining. And the more budget you dedicate to R&D, the more number of new products you're going to launch. So these are examples of the relationship between leads and lags. And another thing that we found now, year after year, biggest KPI problems that people, or should I say management, complains about, the fact that, well, identifying the perfect KPI is always a challenge, but then you need to really be looking at that KPI over and over again, recalibrating it over and over again, and deciding if the KPI is useful or not. So that in itself takes time. But then once you actually get that KPI, looking at it and recalibrating it with your team, getting feedback, understanding what works, what doesn't, that all takes time. So where people are really falling down, especially companies that aren't really digitized, is this process takes so long. You're always working behind what's the reality of what's taking place. So I invite you to think about today, as you look at this solution, how this solution allows you to get your KPIs in the hands of the right people in real time, or as real time as they can get, because most KPIs that are lead related are often coming from somebody's head, and you want to capture that from them. So what's important to know as you start talking about looking at KPI reporting is that each layer of management should be looking at KPI reporting in a different cadence. For example, team leaders should be looking on a daily basis and mostly at lead KPIs, whereas middle management should be looking at least on a bi-weekly basis on a lot of lead KPIs, but lag KPIs as well. And then when you start getting to the upper levels of the company, they're looking more at lag KPIs. And obviously, if they're satisfied with the results, things are going to go in one direction. If they're not satisfied with the results, it's going to go back down to the next layers of middle and management and team leaders, where you're definitely going to be bringing up which lead KPIs need to be impacted. And of course, from a board of directors point of view, we're talking about a quarterly shot clock. Board of directors are looking at lag KPIs, and they just want to know if things are going in the direction that they wanted to or not. So keeping that in mind, we're going to now take a look at what KPIs look like at the team lead level of the company, and how you can use reports to get people to act quicker, to get people to brainstorm in a more efficient way. So what you're going to see today, you're going to see our new bullet chart. There's a screenshot of it, allowing you to allowing your team leaders, allowing process owners to give you information in real time. And to be honest with you, what we really want companies do, we want team leaders, we want KPI owners to be giving you the information as much as possible. And if you can get them to a daily discipline, that is the optimal way. And I'll show you how I capture KPIs on a daily basis in under 5 minutes a day. So we're going to be looking at trend charts, we're going to be looking at Pareto charts, and we're going to be looking at how you can use this report to actually get people to communicate in a more effective, streamlined, collaborative way. So again, a great quote by Aristotle, what we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but it's a habit. And what we're talking about here is we want to get to the discipline of doing things on a daily basis. So taking a look at the KPI Connect input console. So basically anybody that owns a KPI has access to this panel that you see in front of you. And however you set the cadence up, that's where they're entering their figures in. So if you set up a KPI to be daily, now whether it's something that you actually only capture once a week or once a month, you can still set it up daily so somebody can go in and say, did this event occur or not? And this is where they have easy access to quickly capture information and feed it in. So what you're going to see by doing so, you can have a staff just updating things, updating KPIs on whatever cadence you want. Team leaders can see them, and in the team leaders, obviously, they're using the Presto dashboard. They're actually rolling their activities up to the next layer of management. So you at the top of the company can be looking down on the dashboard from the famous bird's eye 30,000 foot view. But when you need to zoom in, you can zoom in accordingly. So today's exercises, we're going to take a look at some lead KPIs. And then we're going to look at them through a weekly bullet chart and then a monthly bullet chart. So here we are on the dashboard. So let's start by looking at so here's where you open up the new KPI Connect input panel. I see we're up to 21 people. Okay, so here I am. So here's where you have a visibility into all your special management reports. So let's take a look at my daily lead KPIs. And you can see what am I doing? Now I've put my personal ones on here too, just so you can get an understanding about how I use lead KPIs to really push myself to where I want to get going. So today we're talking about I told you I do a lot of stuff in marketing. So we're going to be talking about the number of emails sent from automatic outreach campaigns. So in other words, I'm trying to get 200 emails out in the market per day. Here's a personal one, number of meditations performed. Here's a product development one, number of next day planning activities reviewed for product development. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm pushing myself to make sure I spend at least 20 minutes a day preparing the schedule for the developers the next day, or at least understanding what people are doing. So when they come in, we don't get sidetracked into some type of design discussion that wasn't already planned out. Number of outdoor fitness sessions. So I'm trying, now notice how I put 0.65 per day. In other words, I'm trying to go running 4 times a week, just to share personal information with you, but to show you how this is, how you calibrate your KPI. So my daily target is 0.65. Number of push-ups performed. I want to do 50 push-ups a day. Number of warm qualified leads added to my opt-in mailing list. So in other words, what we're trying to do, we're trying to add 5 qualified leads from the marketing team onto our mailing list, 5 per day. We want to post to our Kaizen Alliance discussion group at least once a day. That's an online discussion group we have on LinkedIn. We want to post 1 time per day on the company LinkedIn page. And we want to send 7 messages per day to the first level high profile prospects. So we're trying to send at least 7 individual messages a day to high profile prospects. And what that means is prospects that we're currently working with that are interested in the product. So you can see here, I got overdue, so I haven't entered anything in today. So let's talk about number of mails we sent out. Probably sent out about 150. Number of meditations performed, not going to be meditating today. Number of next day planning activities. I've already looked at everything everybody's doing tomorrow, so I'm not going to be surprised when I wake up at 5 in the morning and have 4 people in India asking me what they need to do. Everybody already has what they're going to do. Number of outdoor fitnesses. Unfortunately, nothing was done today. Number of push-ups. Well, you know what? I'm probably going to get them tonight, so I'm not going to fill that out. Number of warm qualified leads added to the mailing list. Today, we sent about, normally I confirm it, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to put 15 in. Posts to our discussion group. 1 was put in there. Post to our LinkedIn page, and send 7 messages to first level, high level prospects. We probably sent about 6 today. So you can see immediately, there's my input. And now from here, next thing I want to do, let's take a look at on our weekly results. So let's take a look at our bullet chart. And here's the first bullet chart, the weekly bullet chart. So I'm going to say, let's take a look at last week. How did last week go, starting with Monday? And click that button there, and this is how you generate it. As you guys can hear, I got the dog. Unfortunately, a little bit nervous today. Anyway, so here we are starting on the February 10th, and you can see there's my results for last week. Day by day, you got your greens, you got your reds, then you got your average here. So you can see last week I averaged 177.86 emails, and I had a total of 1,245 that went out. Average 0.29 meditations. I did a sum of 2, as you can see, 1 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. Next day planning activities. So you can see I'm close to that 1 a day, but every now and then I slip. Number of fitness, not doing well this month, I got to be honest with you. Number of warm qualified leads added to the opt-in mailing. You can see started the week off strong. We started to go down here, but at least the numbers here were high enough to hit our weekly target. We were trying to get 5 a day, and that's exactly what we averaged, 35 total, 7 days. Posting in our discussion group, you can see immediately yellow. We're trying to get 1 per day. Instead, we're getting 0.71. Posting on LinkedIn, you can see we're trying to get 1 per day, and that's exactly what we're averaging. Did 7 last week. Number of messages per day, first level high profile prospects, and you can see we're not hitting our 7 a day target. In fact, we're averaging 1 a day when we're trying to get 7. So that's that. Let's take a look how we're doing over the course of the year. So I'm going to go to my monthly bullet chart and say, let's do a monthly bullet chart up until the end of February of this month. And again, this report here, where we like to use it, you put this into a slide, and then you have a discussion with people. You're looking at these things, or even online, if you're working virtually, you connect with somebody and you're looking at these numbers, and you're trying to figure out, since we're talking about lead KPIs, your goal is to figure out, are these numbers actually going to help us hit our financial targets that we're trying to get? Do they actually help? Do they need to be recalibrated, or potentially we're missing the key lead KPIs that we need to do? And you can see for the course of the year, we're red all over the place, which isn't always a bad thing. When you're talking about lead KPIs, sometimes it means you're just very ambitious, or you're very aggressive. So, but again, as you can see, for us to decide if these numbers are right or not, you need to take the time, and you need to have this information in real time, and this is the best way to get it. So I see we're just a few minutes left, so I want to jump to the monthly KPIs. So let's jump to, now that's daily. Those are things that you can manage on a daily basis, and that's the easy stuff. The tough stuff, and this is where I think this solution can really help out those companies that are struggling to do as much as they want to do. And because most growth-focused companies, most visionary leaders, they try to do more than they're planning to do. Their goal is to do extra, and your monthly KPIs are usually where you're going to see that. So if you take a look at my, let me see, daily next day planning. Yes, monthly planning, I believe. Now, these are the KPIs where you have a monthly target to do something, but the problem is scheduling. When are you going to do it? For example, we need to create 2 advert posts on our website. So that's a piece of work. You know, it doesn't take more than 1 to 2 days, but it's not something you do on a weekly basis or on a daily basis. So it's important that you keep it under watch. When are you going to schedule it? We need to dedicate 9 hours per month to doing SEO fixes on our website. So again, we're saying 9 hours is probably what we need. Maybe we'll need a little bit more, maybe we'll need a little bit less. But what's important is that you throw it on the schedule and you get it done. We want to joint publish 1 article with a third-party marketing channel, at least 1 a month. Again, something that you're not thinking about it on a daily basis, but you do need to figure out you do need to plan it at least once a month so it gets done once a month. So most of these things here are those random things that you're trying to get at least once a month. And going back to my original discussion about daily discipline, I capture this every day. So you can see, I already put these numbers in today. You can see February 19th, 1st of February. So this one actually isn't a daily discipline. This is actually one that I do enter only once a month. And you can set it up that way. But again, if you put it in daily, all it takes is, you can see, most of them are binary, 1 1 0 0 0 0. Let's take a look at this one. Publish 1 YouTube video per month. Now that's a big job. You know, it takes somebody at least 1 to 2 days to get that done. And today we didn't publish anything, so I'm going to put a 0. Send 14 product updates per year to our user community. So we're trying, so basically we're trying to get at least 1 a month email out to our users telling them all the new product features that were out there. Today, nothing went out. So you can see, put those in there. And then again, going back to my bowler charts, I'm going to say, how are we doing over the course of the year on these? So I'm going to say, give me all the way up to February of this month, generate my bowler chart. And this is where you can really start saying, hey, you're letting something slide. And you take a look at this. Now, by the way, looking at the monthly bowler chart, I got this set up to see the sum. So you see the sums. So you can see in January, we dedicated 19 hours to SEO fixes. Now, if I want, I can actually hit the average button. You can see in January, we averaged 0.61 hours per day. So this is where you can start figuring out those random things that you're trying to get done on a monthly or quarterly basis. What's the daily average you have to account for when you start doing lean people do time and motion studies on pretty much every step of a task, every step of a process. This is one way to help you get to that point. Of course, you got your averages here. And by the way, you can say, give me the average for the last 15 months. Okay, so I know I'm about to go a little bit over time, but I wanted to show you a couple things that I think you'll find useful. So on our dashboard, you have your KPIs framed by your balanced scorecard, financial, client, process, and then learning and innovation, people, some people call it. And then you frame your KPIs one step further by the famous SQPDC. Now, we have ours. We have safety, quality, people, delivery. We have cost and productivity, and we have health and morale. So we've split out the people part of it to keep health and morale different from the training type things. So you can see here on my dashboard, I'm going to close this now. So here we are. These are all our KPIs. Now, today we were looking at daily lead KPIs. That's my management report. And we were looking at monthly planning KPIs. So if we take a look at the daily lead KPIs, this button here allows you to open them all up. So you can see these are the ones we were just looking at that I just entered. And if I want to know, send 7 messages per day to high profile prospects. Let's take a look at how I've been doing over the course of the year. And you can see for the last 12 months, we've sent a total of 996 messages. Post 1 time per day on LinkedIn. Posted 156 times in the past 12 months. How about number of post 1 time per day in the discussion group? 129 posts we've done. Number of warm qualified leads added to our mailing list. So you can see this one here, we hadn't really tracked until October of last year. Next day planning activities. How am I doing with my meditation? Not so great, but what about You can put date ranges in. Let's talk about last year. How am I looking? So you can see. So the point is, with this type of information, you can then start brainstorming with your team.